All right, and we are live with another episode of the Inner Circle podcast. Feels good to be back. Another week, another good episode. We got a lot to discuss tonight. Listen, man. Before we get started, though, I want to ask you guys, what have you guys been playing over the last week?
B, would you like to kick us off? Or?
Actually, this week I haven't really played much of anything. It's been crazy for me, because my wife's car, like her transmission went out, so we've been like car hunting and stuff like that, and we finally got her a car on Wednesday last week. So like I haven't really been doing too much gaming. Unfortunately, I just been on Auto Trader and Cars.com, and just trying to find the best thing that would fit for her. And she finally found something that she liked, and we went with that. So unfortunately for me, I haven't had a chance to play much of anything, but hopefully this upcoming week I'll be able to dive in and spend some time gaming.
That's fair. That's totally fair. I hope everything goes well there. Me, myself, I've been pretty busy doing some stuff on the website, but I did find time to hit up Hellblade since it released on Xbox, and I've almost finished that, my second playthrough. It's really, really good looking on the X. Runs like a dream. Absolutely fantastic game. It really is. I'm experiencing it for the second time, but it's like the first time all over again. It's been a lot of fun. And I've also been running a lot of Sea of Thieves with Anchor. We've been doing a lot of prep work for the next content drop, which is coming in May. But that's pretty much where I've been in terms of playing games this week. Gal, what about you?
Me? Nothing.
That's fair.
I mean, honestly, I've been so swamped with so many things over the last week. It's been pretty hectic. I actually haven't been playing any games. Before I stopped playing, I was playing Terra. I gave it a second chance and really got into it. Then I got bored with it. But like I'm at close to level 30. And as I hit level 30, I realized that this game is terrible. Like, it feels dated. Like, this game
you had to get to level 30,
bro. You know why? Because what happened was, like, you know how like people influence you to play something, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna play it, and like you're forcing yourself to play the game and enjoy the game for your friends. You know what I'm saying? But like, and I'm seeing them playing, they're like, yeah, man, we just hit level, 50 or whatever, or level 40. There's level 40, I think it was the max. And then if you became a Reaper, you could jump to level 50. So everybody's enthusiastic. So I'm enthusiastic, like, all right, cool. I'm going to catch up. Yeah, we going to play together, whatever. And I'm just playing. And I'm like blowing through it and stuff. And like, if you have Amazon Prime, they give you like these bonuses when you get like, twice the XP and twice 100% gold, 100% XP. So like I'm flying up, leveling up. And then once I hit like level 30, it only took me like 2 days to get to level 30. That's how crazy the bonus was. I just was like, bro, I wasn't even reading the dialogue or the story. I just was doing mission after mission after mission. And that's when I was like, bro, this is just, I can't. Like, I just can't. So I abandoned the game midway through, and what I'm going to be playing and I'm going to be streaming coming up that I asked the Xbox base that follow us is what would they like to see me play? And I'm going to be playing Witcher 3 for the first time. Never played a Witcher game before.
Nice. Very nice.
I won't say a Witcher game. I've never played Witcher 3. I played Witcher 2 on the 360 and didn't like it. There was something about the game I didn't like. Maybe I didn't understand the way it had to be played. It wasn't a traditional, especially back in the day on 360. It was so PC-like. It kind of pushed me away. So this time around, I'm going to try to take a better approach at playing it. And if I'm confused about something because the game's been out for so long, maybe I'll look it up and try to and invest in it a little bit further. So definitely going to be playing that. And then after I finish that, I'm going to be playing finishing Quantum Break because I was already halfway through that. But I'm just disappointed that the team keeps trying to box me in the corner with Alien Isolation. These guys are trying to get me to play these horror games, bro. First of all, asking me to play Outlast 2 was just ridiculous. Like, that's a bit extreme. You know what I'm saying? Alien Isolation is bad enough. Outlast 2 is horrible. Someone even suggested The Evil Within. Do you understand? Do you understand that when I went to Bethesda's conference and they showed the trailer, I literally jumped when they showed the trailer? That's how bad it was, bro. I can't play those type of games. It's not my cup of tea.
So what you're saying is you should play Resident Evil 7 in VR?
He's really saying that. He really is.
I am not saying that. Please don't put that in the air. Please take that out of the air because that is not what I want to do.
If it makes you feel any better, I am the same way. Horror games freak me out. And even though I always try them, I never succeed at trying them.
Yeah, no, I don't even want to. I don't listen. This is how bad I am. I had when I was game sharing with one of my homeboys in the beginning. He was big into horror games, and I had The Evil Within and Outlast 2 in my library. I deleted them out of my library because I didn't want to see the cover. I didn't want nothing to do with it. I don't want to see it in my library. That's how bad it is with me with these horror games, bro. I can sit there, I could watch the worst horror movie ever. Jason, Freddy Krueger, aliens, I said demonic stuff. I hate demonic stuff. Demonic stuff is the worst. Like anything when it comes to like possessions or ghosts and stuff like that, that's creepy to me because that crap really be happening. Like it don't really be happening, but the doors really be closing from, the wind or air or physics or whatever. But yeah, bro. I can't do that. But like monsters and all that stuff, I can do all that stuff, bro. But in game, it's a whole nother area, bro. Like I'm in the game. My palms are sweating, my heart is racing. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to survive, and I know I'm not. So I don't want to play that. I don't want to play that. But listen, man, let's get the show started. I want to thank everybody for stopping out. Shout out to Edge, Wills, Foul, Louis, as always. Very grateful for you guys for stopping out. Josh, thank you as well for stopping out. Pat, thank you for stopping out, even though he said the show is lame, but you're here, so thank you. We got a lot to discuss tonight. We want to talk about Phil Spencer. We want to talk about Shenmue finally returning to Xbox, which is great as well. And we are definitely going to be talking about what Microsoft needs to do at E3. So let's get this show on the road. Here we go. Welcome to the Inner Circle Podcast, the premier podcast for Xbox. I'm your host, KRSKL, with Anchorman V, who isn't here with us right now. But we do have B Money 101.
What's going on, everybody?
And Direwood 484.
Hey, hope you're all doing well.
And we have special guests with us, Matthew.
Hello, the Nolan Nerdcast.
Nolan Nerdcast. There you go. I apologize about that. I'm trying to remember everything at the same time.
No, it's cool. This is I'm really interacting with you. I'm usually doing stuff with B Money or Sam.
Right. Absolutely. So yes, Nolan Nerdcast is on the show with us today, and we have a lot to talk about. So listen, man. First of all, let's hop into this Shenmue conversation because listen, I know everybody's talking about how everybody's not looking at old games. People are looking at what's new, what's hot. You got Spider-Man dropping, you got State of Decay next month, God of War just came out. For the Xbox fans, you have Sea of Thieves that recently released, and their roadmap just came out. So some fans are a little perked up about that, and it's kind of crazy when we look at what is coming out over the next year, and then you have Shenmue 3 releasing, which I find kind of ironic because it reminds me of the reverse of Kingdom Hearts. Because it's like we got Kingdom Hearts 3 coming to Xbox, but you don't have Kingdom Hearts 2.5 and what is it like 2.1 or 2.5
HD? Yep.
Yeah, like
stupid numbers.
Yeah, like
they're ridiculous. They're utterly ridiculous.
Right. Those remastered titles aren't coming to the Xbox, which to me is just weird in itself to get those people to play the third version of a game, but not the first two versions of a game if you never played it. Here you have Shenmue 3 currently in a potential, I guess you could say, first on exclusive with PlayStation, and you have Shenmue 1 and 2 now being brought back by Sega in an amazing way with the HD re-release And actually, I won't say remastered because I don't think it's remastered, but it's definitely a little bit tweaked. They definitely tweaked it. They gave it the HD treatment, and now it's coming to Xbox One and Xbox One and PlayStation 4 and PC. But the Xbox One isn't getting Shenmue 3 at launch, at least not right now. Now I do know because and B does know because we were both there at the time. We have heard that Shenmue should be coming to Xbox as well, but that is not confirmed by Microsoft. It can't be confirmed because Sony has this deal with them and can't be brought up. Sort of like Hellblade. Like we never got confirmation with any of the games that are now coming on Xbox from the PlayStation side. That's not how it works for PlayStation. PlayStation got your parents hostage, your kids in the basement. You don't tell nobody that this is going somewhere else until it happens. Xbox is like, hey man, we don't care. We just tell everybody the game is coming somewhere else. We're just happy to get it first. So that's just one of those type of things that's kind of like how it works. But listen, Shenmue coming back. I'm really excited about the game. It came out when I was in college on Dreamcast, and I didn't get a chance to beat the game because at the time I was playing college football, so I was really busy, but loved what I was into and loved the open world aspect of it and got pretty deep. And I didn't get a chance to play Shenmue 2. So is this a big deal? Do you guys think this is a big deal, or is it just like, is it a man moment?
I think it's definitely nice that it's coming back. You know what I mean? It's just one of those gems, that a lot of people didn't get a chance to play because for a lot of people, it was on Dreamcast. And I know that they put Shenmue 2 on the original Xbox, didn't they? Or was both of them on there?
Yeah, they put Shenmue 2 on the original Xbox. Shenmue 1, I think, was on the original Xbox, but in Japan only.
Right. So, like, I played the original Shenmue on Dreamcast. I never got a chance to play 2. So, for me, it's cool to be able to go back and play 2 before 3 comes out. And like I said, it's just one of those gems. You know what I mean? It's one of those games that have like a cult following that everybody kind of talks about. And it's just one of those things where it was kind of like a myth in the night. And now more people get the chance to experience it. So I'm excited for it. I think I would be more excited for it if it was more of like a remake or like a rebuild of the assets. But all in all, I think it's good for Shenmue to at least bring the 2 original games back, and everybody can play the entire series now.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, speaking for myself, I'm one of those people who was never able to actually play those games, but now I get to see what everybody was talking about in prep for 3 whenever that comes out, either this year or if it slips to early next year. I'll have those 2 games in HD that I can try out, start getting my feet wet into the series, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried about that though. The Shenmue games were very old school in their gameplay design and very slow initially. The people that have fond memories of it are going to love it, but I just worry if today's audience is just not going to feel that kind of game anymore. And I worry because I love the first 2, but man, I just don't see it going over well with today's Fortnite crew.
Yeah, I thought about that as well. That's why it's kind of disappointing that it's not more of like a remake, or they didn't really make any adjustments to those older games to kind of make them feel a little bit more new, with like updated or more modern to what today's games standards are. So that is a bit of a worry for me.
The best way I've found to see if you'll if Shenmue might be right for you is it's like a prototype Yakuza game. If you like that style of game, then you'll probably enjoy Shenmue.
Right.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. The thing I get out of it is like this. Why I think it's more special for Xbox than it is for PlayStation is because Microsoft has such a good relationship with Sega. Microsoft helped build Dreamcast. They helped build that network, back in the day with the modem and everything like that. And then when Dreamcast died out, Microsoft stepped into the game and sort of was the I guess you could say, the successor in a way to the Dreamcast and had the Xbox. And though it didn't do well initially because Japan was such a dominant, they were so dominant back in the day, it didn't appeal to a lot of us who were on PlayStation at the time, especially me. I tell you right now, I say this all the time, I hated Xbox. You couldn't tell me Xbox was a good platform to save my life, bro. Like, there's nothing you could tell me about that. I was playing PS2, and PS2 was the second coming. So you couldn't tell me nothing about Xbox. I said this before, when Xbox came out, I used to work at GameStop, and to this day, I swear to you, I am one of the reasons why Xbox did not sell well. I was not pushing that platform. So I was like, why do you want to get an Xbox, bro? PS2 got mad games. They got Devil May Cry, bro. You want to talk about fanboying out back in like early 2099, bro? Oh my God, forget it. I was one of the worst. But once I did get the Xbox and I got a chance to play Halo, and I started discovering all these Western RPGs like Knights of the Old Republic and everything like that, that tune quickly changed, and I kind of fell in love with Halo and everything like that, and a few other titles. And the online, I think the online is what got me the most, because I used to hang out at my homeboy's house a lot, and we would play. We would play Halo, and then we would switch over to GameCube and play Soul Calibur a lot with Link. That's when they had Link and Spawn and Hayachi on all the different versions of Soul Calibur. So Shenmue coming back reminds me sort of like this Xbox hybrid. You got Xbox with, Panzer Dragoon now, and all these old school OG Xbox games. Like all these Sega games like Sonic and Generations, and like it's crazy. And now you're seeing Shenmue 1 and 2 hit the platform, and Microsoft really does, and this is why I love the platform. It's one of the reasons why I love it the most, is because it really feels like the ultimate gaming platform, because you're not just playing the Xbox One titles, but you're playing the 360 titles. You have the OG Xbox games, and now you're seeing Sega starting to step in and not so much support it in that fashion, but definitely add to it to make it a little bit more special and everything like that. So I think Shenmue is a big deal for the people who definitely is on Twitter as like, save Shenmue 24 hours a day, bro. I am so glad I don't have to see another one of those tweets. I think Shenmue has been saved, so we don't have to get that hashtag anymore. But we definitely need to get Shenmue 3 to make that circle complete. It would be really awesome to see Shenmue 3 hit the Xbox One if, things continue to go the way they're going based on, the conversations that we had at E3 back when it was revealed. So it's pretty awesome. I think it's a pretty big deal. Now, they're coming out with a Sega mini drive, right?
Yes. Well, yeah, I thought it was more of a Genesis drive.
Yeah, it's the Mega Drive Mini.
Isn't it just a Japanese repackaging of the one that already came to America?
That's my understanding.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're redoing, like, they're not going the NES Mini route and rebuilding one from scratch. It's just
no. It's actually the same exact company, which I've heard some concerns and complaints about their build quality. So
they're not ideal, especially. The problem is coming off of the NES and SNES Mini, the bar has been raised for stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I really was hoping that Sega would take it seriously and go all in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're just repackaging what already exists.
Yeah.
Well, I heard they were going to tweak with modern controls.
I hope so. That'd be nice.
I heard they were giving it modern controls. It does have the HD boost. Most of the game is going to be the same. Obviously, it's not going to be the prettiest thing with the polygons and all that stuff like that. I think the X can help out with cleaning it up just a little bit more, with 4K upscale or whatever it is they can do with it, sort of like what they've done with Red Dead Redemption. That would be good. That would be great. You know what I'm saying? I mean, all you're going to do is see things clearly. I mean, they're still going to be ugly, but at least they'll be clearer. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully they could do that and kind of make it feel more like an indie game than a AAA title that it was back in the day. So we'll see how that pans out. But I just want to play the game just to beat them, knock them out, and say that I completed Shenmue, because I was a huge fan of the game back in the day. I wish I had the time to complete it, but obviously I didn't. So we'll see what happens, man. But it's supposed to come out this spring, and that's exciting. I heard Nintendo got the Shaft, unfortunately, though.
Yeah.
On the Switch, which is, unfortunate for them. But they did get some version of some Sega games, so that's pretty cool as well. So they're not completely left out, but obviously they didn't get what matters. Normally, they usually don't, but people don't care. That's not what they buy Switch for. So that's what's important. So listen, man, we got to hop into this topic. We're gonna move on real quick to the next segment. Big conversation today, both on Twitter and just overall. It's like I said earlier, man. I feel like right now you have so many people talking. As everybody's talking, you got people positive about what Sony is doing. You got people positive about what Microsoft is doing, and you got a lot of people negative about what Xbox is doing. And you got some Xbox fans that's feeling down about what they've been experiencing with Xbox and stuff like that. And in that process, you had Ryan McCaffrey come out, and I'm going to see if I can try to pull this tweet up very quickly. But in that process, you had Ryan McCaffrey come out and sort of take a gander at something that I want to say that some fans had approached him about. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it's the way it was implied. I had a conversation with some guys on Twitter, and some guys were offended at what Ryan said. And what I try to explain to them is that, listen, I'm not trying to defend Ryan McCaffrey at all. I don't think what Ryan said was wrong. I think what Ryan did as a podcaster is hear a bunch of people hit him up because he is he's basically the number one podcast for Xbox. Let's just be honest here. He's on IGN. He's backed by a big company. They have a huge following, and his voice has influence. And if you have a lot of people telling you things or complaining to you about things, you're going to say things like what he said out there. It just so happened that Phil Spencer saw it and he replied. So Ryan McCaffrey comes out and says Xbox fans are dying, with in all capitals, dying to celebrate a masterpiece level exclusive like God of War. Thing is, though, it took Sony 10 years to get to this point where their first party is firing on all cylinders. And I just want to reiterate that. It took Sony 10 years to get to this point where their first party is firing on all cylinders. This work started in the PS3 era. Xbox might get there, but it's going to take a long time. In response, Phil comes out and says, our hardware took time. Our service platform backwards compatibility took time, and continuing to grow our first party will take time. A high quality and diverse first party, yes, with single player, built the right way is our goal and what our customers deserve. We can have similar results to what we've seen in hardware and platform. And, Ryan replies, looking forward to it. Everybody chimed in on this conversation. It's when Phil talks, people listen. A lot of people feel like Phil talks and doesn't deliver. And I beg to differ in some aspects. But let's jump into this topic because this is a hot topic. Before I give my opinion, because I've already been running on long enough, what is your take on what Phil is trying to convey to Ryan McCaffrey? Let's start with Nola. What is your thoughts, Nola?
I think the thing is, Phil is finally, what people don't realize is he's finally in the position where he can make the changes we always assumed he was going to make in the beginning. And games take time to develop. It's what goes forward now that you can judge Phil on, because now he has the ability to make his vision heard. And you know what? He tries. He does a lot of PR speak, but he also cares. And I think you just have to give him time to work it. If 5 years from now nothing's changed, then yeah, blame Phil. But it's not that situation. Mm-hmm. I think Xbox has a very good future because Phil is committed to all types of games and expanding the Xbox brand and giving people new experiences. He just needs time to do it.
Right. Yeah, I would build on that. Like, the thing is, this is a multifaceted, double-edged conversation, really, when it comes down to it, right? Because on the one hand, people are frustrated, and here's the thing: they have every right to be frustrated as fans. If I disagree with the notion that they haven't delivered games at all, because I look at things like Ori, which was an absolute masterpiece from Moon Studios, collaborating on that. I had a ton of fun with Gears 4. Forza Horizon has only increased in quality, as has Motorsport as well. But that being said, you're absolutely right. We've been assuming that all these years Phil had the ability to make these changes, and we're learning the grim reality that really it's only in the last few months or year that he's had the ability to do that. And that sucks. That sucks as a fan because it tells you what time frame realistically you have. At the same time, realistically, things are looking up for them. They have a lot of good stuff. Sea of Thieves did not perhaps get the Metacritic some might have wanted, but it's popping in terms of player count. And the roadmap for the content there looks fantastic. They're doing a good job there. They just need to deliver on it. State of Decay 2 looks promising. Ashen, Below, all these things. They're doing better, but unfortunately, we need to give them time. And I'm worried that some fans might not want to accept that, and I wouldn't blame them for that either.
Oh, Sam.
Yes.
You reminded me of one thing, is that one thing Phil has done since he's already gotten in is, I don't know if you've realized, well, I'm sure you have, but I don't know if others have realized that the Japanese game presence on Xbox has exploded in the past year.
It has.
Before it was just a wasteland, and that's because Phil did that tour in Japan and started courting people and being like, hey, you know what would be awesome, Bandai Namco? Bringing your games over to Xbox as well, because we have fans for your types of games here too. And yeah, they're not exclusives, but it's better to have a game than not have a game. Like,
we've had that conversation here. You're absolutely right a couple of times in terms of Xbox does not need for the foreseeable future to worry about getting Japanese exclusives, because realistically, apart from a couple of scenarios, it's not going to happen. They just need to worry about making sure all those Japanese games are coming over.
Right.
And you're right. They've done a much better job. Code Vein was presented on their stage. You know, Black Desert Online is a timed exclusive. There's a couple of others. Yes Origin just launched.
Don't forget that they got the marketing rights to Dragon Ball FighterZ, which is one of the biggest games of this year.
Exactly. So you're absolutely right. That has seriously improved, and that's a good aspect for fans of those types of games.
And for a Weeaboo fan, like even the smaller titles that would never used to come to Xbox, like, I don't know, for fans of the series, the Sword Art Online, the first 5 games were PlayStation only. And then this newest one that came out last month also hit Xbox for the first time. It's that kind of stuff. It's the big to the small games that builds a library.
Right. B, thoughts?
I mean, based on just the tweet that Phil put out, you know, like you guys are saying, it's just more time. You know what I mean? More time added to the timeline. And I think, you know, like you kind of mentioned, I think more and more people are kind of looking at their watch and saying, you know, how much more time? How much more time can we wait? How much more time?
Right.
Because I mean, when you just look at the gen as it started, I mean, Xbox really started off strong. You know, say what you will, they were at least providing a large amount of games, you know what I mean, at the beginning of the gen, and then it kind of tailed off based on, you know, whatever, you know, the gamer interest or sales or whatever the case may be. It definitely felt like there wasn't as much put forward towards the games, at least exclusive wise, you know, coming to the platform. So when you start to peek over the fence and look at, you know, your neighbor across the street, and they have, you know, beautiful flowers and green grass and things like that, you kind of want those same things, you know what I mean, at your house. So you see the patience running thin with a lot of people, and you see more and more people who were kind of just like, you know, I'm rolling with Xbox. Now they're willing to open up their arms and say, you know, I'll pick up the other platform to play this because this looks interesting or that looks interesting. So, you know what I mean? There's definitely more interest on the other side now. And I think Microsoft definitely has to play this E3 correctly, and the E3 is going forward, because you're definitely losing some interest from people who were true diehards.
I want to start by saying that I don't disagree with what anybody's saying. I don't disagree with people who feel like they are ready to leave Xbox or whatever and stuff like that. A couple years ago, I went on this big rant about Microsoft putting exclusives on PC. Big rant. I mean, I had Xbox fans telling me, get off the cliff, don't jump off, don't do these things, because I felt like Microsoft was losing their identity. And what they try to do was work really hard to try to make people understand that both PC and Xbox is their identity. But I felt like it wasn't going to move units. What wound up happening is that's exactly what happened. Units started to fall, but you wind up seeing their software revenues increase. You wind up seeing more people participate in Xbox Live. You wind up seeing people buy into the Xbox brand just in a different way, in a different approach. What Phil has done, and I want people to understand this, because again, I'm not defending Microsoft's actions. I've never tried to defend Microsoft's actions. I think what they did was put themselves in a situation that they had to break. And what I mean by that is, when you go back to the 360 era, you had different types of leadership. You had Ballmer, and you had, what is the guy who left EA is now doing soccer? I forget his name.
Peter Moore.
Peter Moore, who was the man. Peter Moore and Ballmer was a hell of a combination. During that time, you would get games like Mass Effect and BioShock and Ninja Gaiden or whatever, like just all these amazing games that was hitting the platform at the time. And before he stepped down and moved on, and Don Mattrick came in and started really doing this type of 30-day DLC thing with Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty and stuff like that. Regardless of whatever he was doing, investment-wise, you saw 360 in a completely different light, and that's what made it appeal. Gears of War was a title that wowed you when you first saw it. Graphically, it was impressive. Epic was, they have been doing PC stuff for such a long time with Unreal, and then all of a sudden you see Gears come out of nowhere, and that really tweaked the PC crowd. Because remember, I think the original Xbox really appealed to the PC crowd more than it did the console crowd, because of the simple fact that it really derived from a PC's sort of thinking, you know what I'm saying? Online playing, internal hard drive, I won't say the way the controller was, because I hated the controller, but just based on some of the way the original Xbox was built, it really had that appeal. But anyway, you flash forward, Don Mattrick's killing Xbox at this point. We're not getting fresh IPs at the end of the generation. You're starting to see some sequels here and there. But what you wind up getting is people start to fade away from Xbox and way, and they want a PlayStation. But people remember 360 for what it was and what it delivered, and why it had so many great fans, and so many people had joined it and left PlayStation or bought an Xbox with the PlayStation. Literally cut PlayStation 2's demographic in half. When you jump over to the next segment, you have this disaster in PR, and people are losing their minds at the thought of having a console that locks them out. And that is not good, especially in a time where you're talking about phone calls, people spying on you, the Connect was spying on you, a lot of things involved there. Don Mattrick says some things, he gets fired, Phil Spencer takes over, right? They invested $1 billion in gaming. Everybody asked me where the billion has gone. It's gone to what you've played. What have you played over the last 4 years? It's gone to the Master Chief Collection. It's gone to the Gears of War Ultimate Collection, Quantum Break, Sunset Overdrive, Rise Son of Rome, Ori and the Blind Forest, State of Decay 2, Sea of Thieves. That's where the billion is gone. Games are not cheap. They are definitely very expensive. And when you look at the investment of Scalebound, another part of that billion, Fable, Legends, another part of that billion. When you start to look at that investment and they cancel those two games, whatever they felt, that wasn't going to be a hit. That investment wasn't going to be good for them. And canceling those two games, I think in that one instance, kind of made them realize that they have to really change what they're doing. They have to change what they're doing. The hardware wasn't appealing because the hardware was getting killed by Digital Foundry and everybody was using it as a bullet point early on. Why? Because early on, Microsoft was producing all of these games at the holiday. Sony was producing some games and dropping some games at the beginning of the year, but were heavily reliant on both third-party and indie games. And that was the truth. You remember, because early on, we talked a lot about that, how Microsoft was delivering, but we didn't deliver year-round. 2017 hits, and you have a cancellation of Scalebound, you have a cancellation in Fable, and it really leaves your year barren because a lot of people was expecting those games to come out in 2017. You go into 2018, literally probably canceling a whole bunch of stuff. You got rid of studios. It literally was a wipe. It's not something I agree with. I think what they did was a little bit backwards. Most people look at Sony and how in 2017 they delivered so much, but you got to think about how those games came out. In 2016, some of those games got pushed that was supposed to release in 2016, got pushed into 2017. And you wind up getting abundance of all of these third-party exclusives that hit plus your own first-party exclusives, right? But it's taken you X amount of years to get to the point to where you now have all of these hits dropping back to back to back to back to back. Whereas early on, you might not have that succession of hits. Meanwhile, Microsoft was trying to drop these hits early, and now they're stuck at a stopgap because of the mistakes that they made. So Phil Spencer sits there and he's trying to make this foundation now. And the only reason why I understand the way this foundation is built is because of the simple fact of talking with some of the executive as well as Seamus Blackley when we had him on the show about trying to build the cushion because they're built differently. Sony is completely dependent on PlayStation. They've cut their whole program apart to really focus on PlayStation. Xbox in the gaming division is now become a very important factor in what Microsoft is doing. But prior to that, they were just a part of a conglomerate of a bunch of other things that really wasn't even the main reason why Microsoft was making money in the first place. So now when you start to change the way Microsoft looks at Xbox, those things start to change. You build the foundation. So when you have a flop like Quantum Break, you got money to fall on. You don't have to worry about the investors saying, we want to get rid of Xbox, that everybody was saying in the beginning of the generation. You don't have to worry about that because you're making money through Live. You're making money through Game Pass. You're making money through all of these services that they've already built. You put new hardware out that's been successful. Everybody's bought into this hardware. And I don't think Xbox will ever let this hardware thing go. I think every generation going forward, they will produce more powerful hardware and try to have top of the line hardware. I think every console coming out going forward will be $500. I don't think they will ever drop in price. I think if you want to get a cheaper version of said hardware, you will get the last generation's hardware because those games will still run on last generation's hardware. That's the whole premise of what Xbox is doing with not switching generations. And now what they're trying to do is build weapons, get their first party in order, bring in new developers, try to build IP to compete with their competitors and stuff like that, because now you have this foundation that catches you if you work on a single player game and it doesn't get picked up. Look at Hellblade. Now, I think Hellblade has factors where it's a year older. Most guys who have Xbox also have PlayStation, so it's already been played. No one's picking the game up. So it's just one of those things where Hellblade obviously didn't sell well, but so did some of the first player single player games that came out early on in the generation. So if you have this foundation to fall back on, you have an opportunity to take more risk. Sony can take all the risk in the world because they already have such a large install base. Number one, they have Japan in their back pocket. They have the world that, honestly, and this is the God honest truth, they have the world where people trust them more as a brand than they do Microsoft. So even if they didn't invest in something and it didn't sell well, they're going to come out with something else that will recover that. Microsoft doesn't have that option. If they come out with two games that don't sell well, as a business, Microsoft is going to look at that as that is not a good thing. What are we doing here? So having a foundation helps you fall flat when you take those risks. And I think that's what Phil is trying to say. All these things took a lot of time to rebuild and restructure. So going into the rest of this generation, next generation and beyond, they can have that. But fans don't want to wait. And I'm with them in that regard. We're waiting after playing early on and you have this gap where you're not getting the biggest titles or the big 95 Metacritic titles that people are clamoring for, which in my opinion really shouldn't determine how good a game is, but in people's eyes it does. When you don't have that, you feel a void, especially when you see the competition get it. So if you're feeling that void, then you start to complain and you start to feel some type of way. So it's definitely one of those things where I feel like Phil's on the right path, Microsoft's on the right path. Like, one of the things Seamus said was bringing in new hardware opens up a new budget. Bringing in new hardware gives you more money. It allows you to reinvest in something, a product that you've already had. So making the X allows them to get more money to show off what the X can do. I don't think they have a lot of time to do it. That's why I think this E3 has to be big for them. But I get what Phil is coming from, and that's why I don't have a problem with what Microsoft is doing. Maybe because because we're Tick Podcasts and we talk to these guys and we're familiar with them and we have conversations with them, we sort of have a better insight of what they're trying to do and understanding of what they're doing compared to some of the gamers and fans that don't have a clue. At the same time, I think they need to be transparent and they definitely need to show a roadmap to keep people, because morale is down and they really need to perk everybody back up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, we've been talking about that for a while. A roadmap definitely needs to be set. And even if it's not, if you're not going to use E3, or if you're only going to use E3 to show like your bigger stuff, I kind of mentioned this in the Gaming Perspective podcast chat, then they use the Inside Xbox stuff. Like everything doesn't have to be like this big blockbuster game.
I agree.
But like if you have all these other games, like these smaller titles, like Ashen, like The Last Night, you know what I mean? Like Ori, you know what I mean? When it's coming out, you have a platform now with Inside Xbox where you can use those games to give people a reason to stick around. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to have everything doesn't have to be a 95 Metacritic. And some of those games, you know what I mean? Some of those smaller titles do rank that high. You know what I mean? They rank in the high 80s, low 90s. You know what I mean? So just look at what Cuphead did for Xbox last year. You know what I mean? The same can be said for some of the other titles they have coming out that aren't as big as far as the budget is concerned, but they could still have that same impact. So they definitely have a platform for that. I think they should definitely use that to their advantage. And then, you know what I mean, when you get to E3 or the bigger shows like Gamescom, things like that, use that to kind of, drop your megatons and show the big stuff that you have coming. But you definitely have to keep your base interested at the end of the day. Like you can't just say we got one show for the entire year and this is when we're going to show what we got, because that's not going to work. That format is not working anymore.
Right. Exactly. It's definitely something that they need to fix. They need to be more transparent. I think they are afraid of allowing gamers to see what they have, and they put themselves in a situation like they did with Scalebound and Fable, where you're canceling games and those cancellations are being announced by by journalists or by the media. And now you have all these fans that were hyped for this particular game and expecting this game to come no longer show up. And it kills momentum when you do that. So being quiet, they feel might be the best strategy. So if something like that does happen, they don't have to worry about it. But it definitely doesn't help when no one knows what's going on after 2017. I'm not a fan of Crackdown. I said that before. I think if you love Crackdown, you're going to love Crackdown 3 after playing that E3. Said this multiple times. I don't think that game is going to be what people want it to be. I think it will have a cult following, so people will pick it up, but it's not going to do what it needs to do for Xbox. And if Forza Horizon 4 is coming out, I think it will do well. It has a following. The people who love Forza will pick it up and they will enjoy it. But what I want people to understand, that Microsoft always gives you options. You don't have to buy a $500 console. You could buy a $250 console and play the games that you've never played on the Xbox or get Game Pass. I enjoy Sea of Thieves because I got it on Game Pass. Some people don't enjoy it because they pay $60 for it. I can't sit up here and defend what they put out and then say, you put out this game at $60 and the content wasn't there and say that was cool. I mean, I won't agree with that. But at the same time, because I have it on Game Pass, I have a different perspective. I don't look at it from that perspective. I think that the variety and content wasn't there. I think there was enough content for me to play and enough for me to have an adventure every day and enjoy it as if it was a new game. And that's why I think I like the game the most, because I've been able to do it. Microsoft definitely needs to step their game up. They're nowhere near dead like people try to make them out to be. The doom and gloom really needs to stop, be honest with you. And people need to just let Xbox fans enjoy their platform, man. Like, seriously. You know what I'm saying? Like, let people enjoy the platform that they chose. If you don't like the fact that they like a certain game or they like the Xbox because you feel it's not doing well, Who cares, bro? Like that's your problem. You know what I'm saying? So I would suggest that, people allow Microsoft to do what they do and let the fans do what they do. You know what I'm saying? Because it's disappointing when you start to see people get cursed out and fight and bicker over trivial things in life when we really should be enjoying all the games that's coming out. People should be enjoying God of War. People should be enjoying the State of Decay 2 when that releases, and so on and so forth as as we go towards the future. So we're gonna move on and try to knock out this last subject. I want to thank everybody for stopping out once again. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. We appreciate the support, and share it out to your friends out there who are looking for good Xbox content and conversation. So listen, man, E3, I think E3's got to be big for Microsoft. A lot of people feel like Microsoft aren't going to show anything. They feel like they're trying to hold things for next generation. And where I disagree is that I think what Microsoft is going to do is show you something, because they have to show you something. They have to show something to get the crowd interested in maintaining an Xbox going forward. Not the hardcore guys. I think the hardcore guys will stay on Xbox, but I'm just talking about people who might have an interest or waning on Xbox. They need to show something that's going to get people to stay with the platform and show the potential of what the platform is going to be doing going into the future. And because they don't do generations, they're not doing a reset. This is the reason why I think they'll show stuff. They're not going to hold anything for Xbox 2, because what you get on Xbox 2, you'll get on Xbox One X. And that's why I don't think they're going to hold anything. They're going to show you what they have. And hopefully they bring the heat at E3 and they bring the heat at Gamescom, because they can't have double shows. Like, they really need to bring something new to Gamescom as well. Do you think Microsoft needs a big E3 to be successful going forward? Or do you think Microsoft's E3 doesn't have to be big, but it just needs to have impact?
Oh, our guest, would you like to take this first, or would you like to think on it for just a moment?
Yeah, give me a second to think on it. I mean, I have many thoughts on what Microsoft will do at E3. I think it's going to surprise a lot of people, but yeah, come back to me.
Okay, sure, no problem. B, would you like to go? I know we've talked about this a bit in the past. If not, I can go.
No, you go ahead. I'll clean it up.
Basically, the way I see it is, obviously they're in a bit of a sticky situation. That's just obvious. That's the way it is. I'm sure they have some games that are going to be coming this generation, but any of the big hitters, any of the big next projects, like the practically confirmed, we all know it's happening, Fable reboot, that's a next gen game. All right, let's call it whatever next gen means for Microsoft. We have to call it what it is. So because of that, they have to be very careful with what they choose to show. I think it's a balance of a couple of different situations. A, Halo 6 gets a blowout. Obviously, we've been waiting on that. Some people thought it was going to come last year. It didn't. Halo 6 gets a blowout. A lot of attention there. You highlight some game preview games. Game preview has been doing really well for them. Frankly, I don't think they get enough credit for what they've done there with games like Deep Rock Galactic or the Darwin Project, or obviously the big PUBG. That's the one everybody knows that's done really well there. Then I think you need to show a couple of CGI trailers. And anyone who knows me knows I hate CGI trailers. But the reality is you have to get people interested. You have to get people to pay attention for some stuff that's coming in the future, or in-engine trailers, in quotation marks. You could fill that in instead of CGI trailers. And B, you and I talked about this before. One IP revival and one big new thing. That's what you do. You appeal to both sides of the crowd. You say, all right, here's something that it's an IP we abandoned a long time ago, but it's coming back. And here's one real big new IP. That'll be really cool. Then after that, you market the bejesus out of the X. It's the most powerful console in the world. Get the marketing deals to show it. That's my brief take on the matter.
All right. I think they're going to pull out, like, yeah, there's the stuff we expect. You know, there's going to be Forza. We're expecting Halo. We might get a tease of the next Gears. But those are all known quantities. Those are things that get the fans excited but don't blow people away because we expect it. I think this year, though, besides the really smart marketing deals Microsoft has made for this next part of the gen, like the games coming forward, Microsoft got aggressive and they locked them down, and I think that's real good of them. But I think we'll get a surprise. I think we'll get a moment where, you know how Sony stepped in to fund development for like Street Fighter V or one of those games. I think we're going to find out that Microsoft, this is based on nothing but my belief. Microsoft stepped in with Ubisoft and said, let's bring back Splinter Cell. And I think we all know Splinter Cell's happening by now.
Of course it is.
It's the worst kept secret. But I think the real thing that's going to shock people is when it's announced as a PC Xbox exclusive game. I just, I mean, Splinter Cell is so intrinsically tied to Xbox, even though it was on other systems. There already have been Xbox exclusive Splinter Cell games, and especially with the hype of bringing Sam Fisher onto Xbox, inside Xbox, I would not be surprised if Splinter Cell was a exclusive game for PC and Xbox. I think that would be a big get.
Well, that'd be huge.
That would definitely be huge. I don't see that happening, to be honest. I definitely see them having a marketing deal for it.
Oh, sure.
That's a guarantee.
That's a guarantee, of course.
I don't see Ubisoft dropping an exclusive game on any platform.
I mean, what are you talking about? Mario and Rabbids, man.
Yeah, that was more of a collaboration, though.
I know, I'm just messing with you.
But I don't see Ubisoft just by the way that they've been treating all their games. Like every one of their games is games as a service now.
Right.
And I could definitely see them, as much as I hate for them to do this, I can definitely see them doing something to Splinter Cell to make it a game as a service. Whether it's just perks mode or whatever the case may be, there's going to be something where that's not going to be just a single player game.
That's a guarantee. Just look at the way they've done the services. I mean, Ubisoft is the go-to for how to run a games as a service. Even the ones that have stumbled, they've turned them around. Even For Honor.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only reason I say that it wouldn't be an exclusive. But I would love for it to be. You know what I mean? That would be the greatest opening for E3 for me. If it was completely dark, you know how Xbox has all the green lights during their show. If you just have it completely dark, you hear the visor click on, and then you see the 3 green lights hit the screen. I lose my shit.
You know same. I mean, I don't think that's happening, but if that does happen, I will eat a badge or something, and I will say, "All right, well done, done. That's fantastic."
We'll both be there, and I will videotape you eating your badge.
Yeah, do that, please. By all means, absolutely. Because if that happened, then that would be that Peter Moore boxing bulldog attitude. All right, let's lock it down. Let's go. Let's just crush. And well, we'll see. That's one spicy take. I like it.
Yeah.
You got to get bold with E3. Half the fun is making predictions that you're not sure will happen, but man, if they did happen.
Yeah.
I don't know
I'm with you there.
I don't know what Microsoft is going to show at E3. What I do know is that if they show Perfect Dark, if they show Fable, that's supposed to be rumored, if they show these other IPs that we've been hearing about, this Darkfall, Matterfall, whatever it's called, and a few other titles that we've been hearing about, as well as their indies, is it enough to sway the crowd? Because I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I sort of feel like you cannot please. I feel like Microsoft can't please people. Like no matter what they do, either the people who don't have Xbox aren't happy with it, and willing to congratulate them, or the fans who show interest when the game's released don't support. And I find it funny because I feel like if it continues that way, what's going to wind up happening is people will abandon the Xbox long term if they don't get what Microsoft is trying to deliver. It's one of those things where it's like you're asking people to buy single player games when everybody on Xbox who buy single player games are no longer on Xbox. You understand what I'm saying? They've moved on to Sony. That's why Sony has the bigger demographic. And the people who prefer multiplayer games are buying the multiplayer games. It's why PUBG sold so well. It's why you're seeing Fortnite do extremely well on the Xbox platform. As much as we want balance, Microsoft sees numbers. There's a reason why they decided to make Sea of Thieves such a big franchise for them, and they're going to try to support it. I think, unfortunately for them, that didn't start with the content bang that it should have, and it may turn people off. How you recapture the people is a different story. But Microsoft needs to be able to show maybe one single player exclusive, maybe two, Fable being one of them, that can really wow the crowd. But they need a Halo or Gears type game. They need something that's going to show you an amazing campaign, something that looks epic, and is going to give you stellar multiplayer that keeps you playing for a very long time. Microsoft does not need to be Sony. This is the one thing.
I don't think they need to be Sony, but I think the thing that Microsoft struggles at, and the reason why people try to say that it's only a multiplayer box or whatever, because most of the games that Sony makes or Xbox makes is multiplayer games. The thing that Sony has is that they are really great at single player games, but they rely on a third party to provide all the multiplayer stuff. So people still are there playing Battlefield, playing Overwatch, playing Fortnite. You know what I mean? There's still a great multiplayer community on PlayStation as well. It's just that they have the balance of the big multiplayer games that everybody's playing, and then they have single player experiences as well. So,
but could not Xbox
have a little bit of both?
Could not Xbox do the similar things? Did they not rely on the Gears and Halo, and make other IPs that have big multiplayer aspects of the game, and then rely on a Witcher, a Mass Effect, a Dragon Age as your single player, your Tomb Raiders as your single player experiences that are coming to the platform? Look, I get that. I'm not saying that whatsoever. What I think Microsoft needs to do is that people want Microsoft to be balanced, like they were in a 360 era. That era is over. We got to get past that. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
I don't even know if it's that they want Microsoft to be balanced in 360 era. Because if you look at 360 era from the first party standpoint, what games did they release that made the platform balanced?
I mean, they had a ton of games that was pretty balanced. Don't get me wrong. Crackdown was not a first-person shooter. It was a third-person action adventure title. Fable was a third-person Western RPG. You had Gears, which was a third-person shooter. Halo was a first-person shooter. You had Forza, which was a racing game. Then you had timed exclusives for a while, like BioShock, which was a first-person shooter. Mass Effect, which is a Western RPG.
So all of that stuff has been erased. You know what I mean? So like, you look at the core, just the core stuff. You look at the same 5 franchises, which, like I've been saying for years upon years upon years.
Of
course.
We've
leaned on those games.
We've said that,
from the beginning. You know what I mean? Like we just really took control of the Gears franchise. You know what I mean? Under the Microsoft umbrella, it was an epic game. You know what I mean? So we took control of that franchise in this generation. So when you look at just the platform and what they brought from a first party standpoint, they've brought the same core from the beginning till now. You know what I mean? So that's where people are like, okay, what's next? Where's the next big franchise? Because we've relied on Halo, we've relied on Gears, we've relied on Forza, we've relied on Fable. Fable's supposed to be coming back. So what's the next big thing? What's the next big thing?
That's crazy, because when you look at it, Halo defined the original Xbox.
Right.
Gears helped define the 360. That was the game people pointed to why 360 was where to go. The Xbox One has not had that new game, that new franchise that had that same impact. None of them have.
Exactly. And that's why I agree. That's what I'm saying. They haven't had that game. But you have Xbox fans trying to put them in the same position or get them to be in a position where they're trying to deliver first-party exclusives like Sony has been doing. And I'm not saying that they can't do that. I don't think that is Microsoft's strength. I don't think it's their strength for the base. I don't think it's their strength for the base, and I don't think that's their strength going forward. I really don't. I think what Microsoft's strength is what they're really good at, which is a combination of both multiplayer games, Xbox Live, and having amazing campaigns in those multiplayer games. It's not to say you can't focus on a single player experience like a Fable or a game in that ilk. But what I'm saying is you can't expect them to try to pump out 3 or 4 single player games. That's not going to happen. That's just not what they do.
And I don't think that's what people want.
No, it's
people
not.
Just want a great game that they could put on a pedestal next to Halo and Gears and Forza.
Exactly. Right. I said that on Gaming Perspective earlier today. I don't want Microsoft, or Xbox more specifically, to become PlayStation. I don't. Because there are certain strengths and weaknesses there. Just as much as I don't want PlayStation to become Nintendo or Nintendo to become Xbox. The three of them are at their best when they are doing different things, duking it out. With that being said, it's not a stretch. Fans have the right to want at least one of those types of games. Right. Fans have the right to expect, like, whether it's Fable, all rebooted in all of name, or a new IP, it really doesn't matter. A big, expansive, open-world RPG. A big exclusive that's like, wow, we're taking the X or whatever the next Xbox is, and we're cranking it all the way up. We're pushing the visuals of what's possible, an epic story. We don't need 10 of those. We don't need 3 of those. They just need to see that one is coming.
And that's what I'm saying. Again, this is what I'm saying before. People aren't looking at Microsoft, and this is what, like, people like, why don't Microsoft can be that? They can invest in first part. It's not, it hasn't worked for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, if something doesn't work for you, you don't keep throwing money at it until it works. You're still a business. You can't continue to put yourself in a hole for something. You have to make a hit somewhere. So you try to take a risk in one aspect, and you try to invest in something that you know that's going to be successful in another aspect. But then you do what you do best and invest in your strength as well. But they have to be creative, and they have to come up with something new. I think Microsoft tries to innovate too much. They try to innovate with Quantum Break. They try to innovate with Crackdown, this whole cloud situation. I think they don't need to do that. They just need to make something that's good and that uses some of the things that's already out there, but takes advantage of it in a way that we haven't seen. And it doesn't mean you have to innovate that particular thing. It just needs to be really good at what it is. It's one of the reasons why I like Horizon Zero Dawn, is because Horizon Zero Dawn does nothing new. It's not an innovative game at all. But what it does do, it does something really well. It does all those things really well. And then it gives you a really great story and a really good protagonist in that process, and that's why the game is so successful. So I'm not saying that's what Microsoft has to do. Again, I don't want Xbox to be PlayStation. Let PlayStation be PlayStation and be the king of first, single player experiences or whatever. Microsoft just needs to find their own strength, have confidence in what they do, and deliver. Stop beating around the bush and deliver, and that's what they have to do. And we'll see what happens at E3. I think E3 really needs to be big for them. And if they can deliver at E3, they'll be okay, because, again, they have the hardware, they got the platforms, they got the services, everything is set and ready for them to go. They just need to invest in their first party and get the games out to the public, and make sure that they're high quality games and not some half-ass titles where we're going to deliver content later, or you're going to get this DLC at this point, or it's broken in the beginning at release. They need to make sure that these games release perfectly and on time. So, that's really it, man. Any thoughts before we head out of here and do a Q&A?
No,
Owen,
I think I'm good.
You got any other big thoughts on this, or?
No, I mean, everything that I was thinking, people hit up on themselves or expanded on what I was going with. So yeah, good times.
Cool. So listen, man, I want to thank everybody for stopping out tonight. Very appreciative. We're going to do a Q&A. So if you guys have any questions for us, get ready to ask them and go ahead and put them in chat. Make sure you put a question mark on them. We'll do our best to answer them. We will be back next week with another episode of the Inner Circle Podcast, premier podcast for Xbox, every Saturday at 10:30 p.m. or 10:30 something time whenever I'm available. I do apologize.
we go live at Cal o'clock.
Yeah, Cal o'clock, definitely. Whenever my wife and kids aren't stressing me out. So we'll definitely be back next week. And make sure you support the channel. this show is not the only show on this channel. It is called Tick Network. On Tick Network, we have Multiverse with Anchorman V and team. They cover comic books, they cover movies, they cover TV, they cover multiplats. We have 2XP with Fame and Dallas Man and Nicodemus and Mamacita, and they're a debate show. So if you love Xbox versus PlayStation, that's the show for you. And of course, we have the Iron Lord podcast with King David, Lord King David, shall I say, Lord Attic, and of course Lord Cognito, Lord Solve, and the rest of the team. And those guys get a chance to talk about everything from Destiny to Nintendo Switch, as well as some of the multiplats out there, and they cover some content for us. And make sure you support TICGN.com. That is the lifeblood of everything. We grateful for the support, and those of you out there who follow us on on Twitter, and Facebook. So we'll be back next with another episode. Get ready for this Q&A. I want to thank everybody for stopping out. I'm your host, Kelware SKLO, with B Money 101, Dire with 484, and my man Nola from the Nola Cast.
Check Thank you out. For having me, man. I appreciate being on.
Absolutely. And we're off this planet. We're going to do this Q&A. You guys have a great night. Peace. All right. Again, I want to thank everybody for stopping out. We had almost 50 people in here checking out the channel and checking out the show tonight. Make sure you share it. Give us a thumbs up with your friends. I want to thank Jez, Andrew Wilkins, who, kills Xbox, but it's always donating. I don't know how that works, but I want to thank you. I appreciate the donations and very for the support. TF God,
we appreciate it.
Absolutely. Basement Radio Arcade, thank you. Brad, shout out to Brad. Shout out to Next Level. Great friends of the show. Love those guys. Shout out to Dizzy, the homie Dizzy. Showan, gotta love Showan, big supportive of us. I know you guys are stressed out with Microsoft, man. I get it. Don't get me wrong. I do understand where you're coming from. But listen, let's get these Q&As done because it's getting late. Let me see here very quickly. Demigod Review. Shout out to Demi. Check out Demigod Reviews. You can check out his channel. He's also a writer for TICGN. Does excellent reviews for us. Demi, make sure you put your channel in the chat so guys can see all the hot reviews you put out. Fable 4. Would you like to see it more modern setting since E3 was in a steampunk since Fable 3 was in a steampunk turn of the century, or full on reboot? I want to say reboot.
I want to see a complete reboot with new art style.
Facts.
Give me more mature art style. Give me something that looks crazy on the X. Give me crazy particle effects.
Facts.
Grand open world. Great adventure. That's what I want.
Basically, give us a new dark/high fantasy IP with the Fable name slapped on it, with the ability to kick a chicken somewhere as an Easter egg.
Bro, I don't want to kick no chickens. I don't want to kick no chickens. I don't want to.
Just an Easter egg, dude. Just a chicken somewhere that you can just punt off a cliff somewhere. Like, come on, that'd be funny.
I don't want to trick no kids into following me in the dark corners and killing them. I don't want to Fable was a twisted game.
Yeah, give me some crazy magic spells.
I don't want to hear no farts, bro.
No. It needs to be more serious. You can still have charm. You can still have humor, but it needs to be more serious.
It definitely needs.
Fortunately, it being a new studio, I think there's a very high chance that'll be the case. So I have high hopes there.
Right. Jez 7780. Shout out to Jez. Brother Jez been rocking with us for a very long time. Big supporter of the show. Good friend. He asks, will Booty be on stage at E3? Matt Booty, the new head of Microsoft Studios. He needs to be.
They better bring the Booty.
He needs to be. He needs to whatever he need to do his duty and bring his booty. That's what he needs to do, because we are looking for some content from him. So we're looking forward to that. Also, shout out to Nick Lang. We're going to have Nick Lang on the show. If you guys don't know who Nick Lang is an executive producer over at Turn 10. He's been confirmed to come on Tick Podcast. Unfortunately, because Turn 10 is working on their projects or whatever, we won't be able to pick his brain about Turn 10 or what they have going on in Xbox. But he will be coming on the show as a guest, and we'll get to talk with him as just, I guess you could say, media or podcasters to a developer, and pick his brain about video game development and what's going on with that and stuff, and get some perspective on maybe Forza if possible. So we'll see how that turns out. So make sure you tune in for that. I'll try to do that show live, being that it's not an interview, and you guys can hang out with Tick and Nick Lang from Turn 10.
Do you guys have you guys heard that rumor about the Studio Gobo thing?
About them?
Yeah, their second studio, Electric Square, actually.
Yeah, Electric Square.
They grew into two studios.
Yeah. Have you
Um,
heard the rumor they're supposed to be doing some go-kart game or something like that?
Yeah, Forza Kart. I have seen that rumor.
And I'll tell you right now, go ahead.
I was just going to say it makes sense because if you think about it, like, look, shout out and hats off to the guys at Playground Games on Forza Horizon and Turn 10 at Motorsport, because the fact that they turned those games out in 2 years is witchcraft, as far as I'm concerned, with what I know about game development. But it makes sense that you don't want those franchises getting burnt out. You want to rotate in a new Forza, and you want to have, again, we were talking about before, a little variety, a game that appeals to that family-friendly audience. So I think like a karting game,
bro, if they
putting Forza on a 3-year cycle, that makes sense. That's a good idea.
If you bring out Forza Kart and it's got all of their mascots, I'm going to lose my mind. I am such a big, like, literally today I was in Walmart, not Walmart, I was in Best Buy. First of all, I'll never buy anything from Walmart again. Electronics. They had the worst warranty policies in the world. I will never buy anything from them again. My son broke his second controller. This guy is a straight disaster. I don't know what he's made of, but I'm tired of buying controllers.
You're raising a little colossus.
Bro, he's out of control. He just goes, I'm like, dude, it's a plug-in controller. It's not even wireless. Like, I'm like, how are you raging and breaking these controllers? Anyway, went to Best Buy, bought a new controller, saw the Nintendo Switch over there and started playing Mario Kart with my son. And he was having a blast. I'm not gonna lie. We have a lot. When we go to GameStop or we go to Best Buy and we play these like Switch, it's really making me want to buy a Switch. Like, swap out the Xbox that I gave him and get him a Nintendo Switch. Because I mean, we have a blast playing those games. He's laughing, he's cracking up, and we're playing Mario Kart, man. I get why Nintendo is so special. They just truly appeal to the child's heart. They really do. But if I could get Forza Kart with Banjo, like little, chibi Master Chief, little chibi Marcus Phoenix and Conquer and Cameo, I will lose my mind, bro. Especially if it plays similar to Mario Kart 2. What? That'd be nuts. I'd be all on it. Showan asks, does Phil need to stop being scared and take chances?
Yeah. I've been saying that for a while, man. I want the aggressive Microsoft back.
You want the Peter Moore days, right?
I want the Peter Moore days. I want the we don't give a damn days back. You know what I mean?
We've got giant checks and we know it days.
Yeah. Snatch up some exclusives. I don't care who feelings you hurt. You know what I mean? I don't care who comes at you. Snatch up some exclusives. Snatch up the biggest games you can. You got the most powerful system out there. You should have some games out there harnessing every last bit of that console. So I don't care what you got to do. I want the aggressive Microsoft back.
Hire Terry Crews to walk around in Crackdown armor outside of Sony's conference, laughing at everybody.
That would be hilarious. First of all, that's a genius idea. Second of all, that would be excellent if they did that. But the problem that you have is that Phil Spencer is like the choir boy of the video game world. Like, seriously, the guy doesn't curse. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't curse, bro. Everybody curses. Even the preacher curses. The preacher curses. He doesn't curse. And you see them talking about how they trying to go into a non-toxic situation. We're never going to get that. We're never going to get that unless, they bring in somebody else. If Aaron was running the show,
we'd be acting a fool if Aaron was running.
What? Aaron would be
him and Mike Ybarra, the two of them.
Hell yeah, they would be going in, but not Phil. Phil is Phil is definitely the face. That's the face you want on Xbox. TF God asks, what if Microsoft doesn't deliver this E3? Then what?
Chew them out.
Nah.
I'm dead serious.
If Microsoft don't deliver, bro, I really start to question. Me personally, I would actually have to start questioning, like, even as the head, like the host of Tick Podcast, I have to sit there and be like, bro, I don't know.
Yeah,
like, I got to
wouldn't
see
stop
something.
using my console. I'm way too ingrained in the
No.
ecosystem. There's too much stuff coming, but it would definitely be all right, wait a minute here.
Yeah, it's
What's
definitely
going
one of those
on?
things where it's like I wouldn't abandon the brand, but I definitely would really start to consider like, yo, I really need to start really investing in, either the Nintendo Switch or something, because I'm just like, if I'm not going to get it from this platform, even if it's the multiplayer games that I'm looking for, if I'm not getting the games that interest me, but so far I've been getting some of the games, not all of them,
right?
Some of them that interest me. I want things that truly interest me. But if I can't get the games that truly interest me, bro, you really have to question like what's going on here, and when is enough enough? You can only sit up there and really sit there and say, okay, you understand this roadmap that's happening, and you're waiting for this roadmap to happen. But just like any woman, bro, I ain't gonna wait forever for you to put a ring on it. Like if you're not gonna put a ring on it, I'm out after a while, bro. Like there's other fish in the sea. So Microsoft need to get it together. But right now, we rock Xbox for life for right now.
So how much of the rumors from earlier this year, how much of that do you think we see at E3?
I think.
Sorry, can I go quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think you see one of the two biggies, and by the two biggies, I mean Perfect Dark and Fable, both being revived by Playground Games and the Coalition, plus somebody else, respectively. I think we would see one, not the other. You show one, you hold the other for next year. That makes good business sense, and it's good balance in terms of those two. In regards to the other rumors, the Crackdown 3 co-op rumor has already come true. They've confirmed that one, which is a good sign for all the others. So you re-revealed that. The Forza Kart one, I feel like it's probably real, but my question there is, do you show that this year if you're pushing Forza Horizon 4? That's the part I'm kind of wondering about. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah.
And then you got the potential, wasn't it a Gears spinoff from Splash Damage? That was one. I think you definitely show that, especially if it's really different from the main franchise. You absolutely show that one off.
We'll see.
That's my thoughts. I don't know. Could be wrong.
You know what I mean? I'm not a fan of spinoffs of franchises that's already established. I do not want to see a Gears of War franchise. I don't want to see a Gears spinoff. I don't want to see another Halo spinoff. I hate it. I hate that so much. I really do. But people love it. So if it sells, it sells. Let me see here. Is Chico the sexiest editor at TICGN? I'm not going to answer that.
The answer is no. I still work there last time I checked.
Some of these. Andrew Wilkins says, at the inner circle, will any of you play me in a game so I can prove my point? I don't bash Xbox. Xbox is trash. The entire fan base can't game at all. See, here's
whenever you want to get on the sticks, Mr. Wilkins.
We will let B give you these hands.
The problem, the problem I have with that is that Xbox fans are like probably like if Xbox and PlayStation battled each other in like a multiplayer match, Sony would get crushed. Like they would, I truly believe Sony will get crushed because the Xbox fan base is built on multiplayer titles and co-op titles. So in Sony being such a first party single player experience RPG type crowd, like they would be able to handle that. Yeah, you don't want to handle that. You don't want that. You don't want them sticks, bro. You don't. But you can hit us up anytime. You know our GTs. My GT. My GT is my name. KORX Kal-El. Space between the Cal, X, and a space between that is L. There you go. Let me see here. Wills asks, do you guys see the Phantom Dust remake being revisited since it was put on hold, and did the Phantom Dust port online population doom any chance of a remake? That game was doomed since Ken Live came on TikTok and spoke about it.
That might be a wrap for that,
bro,
man.
That game, don't even bring that game up no more, bro. That game is done. Like as soon as he came on Tick Podcast, that game was done, bro. we ruined that game. That game is done. I'm gonna pass that up. Try to get close to the bottom. Let me see. Try to get out of here. Showan asks, do you think Xbox needs to go back to the money hatting days?
Uh, like I said, I want the aggressive Microsoft back. I don't want
Yeah.
like the DLC nonsense.
No, the
Everyday
DLC.
or like
No.
special guns and nonsense like that. But if they got to go out there, and, you know, I saw somebody mention the Onimushu stuff. Like that would be dope if they, you know, if Microsoft went to Capcom and was like, "Yo, y'all not doing nothing with this, but if we give y'all a couple $1 million, can y'all do something with it and make it exclusive for our platform?" You
Right.
know what I mean? I'd be down for that.
Or march over to From Software with a copy of Otogi 2 and a bag of cash and say, "Here, remake it."
Right. You know what I mean? I'm all down for that because I think that's where a lot of people fell in love with Xbox when they had those exclusives. You know what I mean? And I think I would be cool with them returning back to that form.
Mm.
I think I just want to get it real quick. Eric actually had a really good question. Kind of in the middle there, kind of got crushed by some of the talk going on. He was asking, what kind of IPs would we like to see besides Fable 4 / a reboot?
I'll be honest with you, I want a Western RPG built like Mass Effect or Knights of the Old Republic. I'm such a huge fan of that.
RPG.
A sci-fi RPG built in space with choices. Like I'm such a big fan of that I've been begging for Knights of the Old Republic 3. And if they can't deliver, I would love for them to have a studio that delivers a title like that for the platform, because Mass Effect, when I think about Mass Effect, I think Xbox. I don't think any other platform. It's just one of those things like if you think Metal Gear, you think PlayStation. That's how I feel about Mass Effect. If you think Splinter Cell, you think Xbox.
Yeah, absolutely. This just got that strong brand association. I'll be honest, now this isn't new IP. What I'd like to see is a Halo RPG styled after Mass Effect.
No, what is wrong with you people in spinning off these games? Why can't we just get new games? Bro, I don't want to play Sergeant whatever for the UNSC, or I don't want to be a what is it called? A raptor or whatever it is. I don't want to be no alien, bro. I just want a new game with new characters, new lore. Like, we don't need that. That's why we have books. Like, we can read all of that, man. We have comics and all that stuff like that. Like, I don't want to see that. That's why I don't want a Gears of War survival horror game. Like, you can only do so much with these franchises. That's why, like, this is what pissed me off about Halo. And I hate to go in on Halo because I'm a big Halo fan. When Halo came out, they had that Halo Strike indie game. And they had Master Chief Collection the next year. Now, I know the indie game was just an indie game, but they was pushing that game. That game was on the front of Xbox when it first came out. They were pushing that Halo phone game like it was the second coming. Then you had Halo Master Chief Collection the next year. Then you had Halo the year after that. There was 3 Halos back to back to back. And the first 2, the Halo indie game, what, like the twin stick shooter, wasn't really a game, I guess you could say, but it still was a spinoff of that. You had Halo Wars a couple years later. It was like Halo, space, Halo. I'm just like, bro, y'all got to get away from these franchises. It's the reason why people feel like they're tired of seeing it. You know what I'm saying? You got to make new IP, new franchises, or reboot some of these old franchises we haven't seen in so freaking long. Like, there's so many. Microsoft, look, we went through the list a couple months ago. I don't know, like half a year ago. And we went through a list of all the games Microsoft owned. And there's games on there that you just don't even think about, bro. Like, why hasn't Microsoft just regained? I know they gave it licenses out, but if I was Microsoft, I would have been brought back the Mech Warrior franchise or the Robotech franchise. Do people know Microsoft owns the Robotech license? The Robotech license, bro.
How would they know, man? It's chilling up on the shelf somewhere.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you own Robotech, bro. We could be like, when I think about Robotech, I think of damn, what's that game? What's that game that Kojima made, bro?
Oh, you're talking about Zone of the Enders?
Zone of the Enders, son. Think about that. Imagine a Zone of the Enders game, but it's in the future and you're fighting in these robotic, jets or whatever. In a post-apocalyptic world, in a robotic war. Like, oh my God, do you know the potential that Microsoft could do with that? You have Mech Warrior as a franchise that you own, and you're not using that license. You're renting it out to a third party that's not doing anything special with it. I've seen the game. They're not doing anything special with the game. It's very frustrating. It can be very frustrating sometimes. So I get where fans are coming from, but they really need to really invest in the IPs that they own. They really do. They should be looking at that And that's why I told Phil, man, if he had me on my team, if I was a creative director on that team, I would have righted the ship immediately. I
Yeah,
already
but
know
we
what to
never
do.
see any horror games, so I'm really not sure if that's a fair trade or not.
Hey, I do agree with that. You would never get horror games from me on Xbox. I would straight rely on Capcom for that or somebody else.
Yeah. I just want something where you can similar to how Gears, we can play the campaign together with friends. I just want a big level RPG like that. Something that doesn't include like guns, where you can have, you know, like mages and different classes like that, swords, things like that, where you go on this grand adventure with friends. That's more of what I want. You know, I'm a big RPG guy, so as long as it has RPG elements, I'm down with it.
Almost like a Diablo, but not isometric.
Yes. Something that's definitely more detailed, closer camera view.
Right. But the concept of joining up with
Yes.
friends or going on yourself, constantly getting loot,
Right.
grinding through the story.
Yeah.
Right. All right, guys. So listen, man, it's getting kind of late. It's almost already the next day for me, 12 a.m. I want to go ahead and finish up with maybe 2 more questions, and then we're going to head out of here. I'm going to see if I can catch somebody who hasn't asked a question. Shout out to Jay Nice 79. Thank you, brother. Make sure you give us a sub if you haven't already. I want to thank everybody for stopping out, hanging out with us for the Q&A. Demigod Reviews asks, RoboCraft? No, bro. Not RoboCraft. Not that blocky ass whack game that they just put on Game Pass like it was supposed to be special. I'm talking about Robotech, bro. The anime. You ever seen Robotech, bro? It's an old school anime, bro. Go watch it. It's oh my god, I can't believe they got Robotech and they not using Robotech license. So frustrating. Shadowrun, yes, Dizzy. Shadowrun as well. Shadowrun, Avid Rising, yeah, you could reboot Avid Rising. They don't own the IP for Avid Rising, but they could definitely hit up the people who do if they're able to find them. Shadowrun, another franchise that they own, that they don't even, it doesn't even have to be Fable. You want that cyberpunk type game? You can have Shadowrun be your next cyberpunk franchise. Like, you really, I'm not gonna lie, bro.
See, when you start breaking it down, man, you start breaking.
Oh, hey, this is the premiere podcast for Xbox.
That means telling the truth. That means keeping it real.
Premiere podcast for Xbox. So listen. Anyway, I'm not gonna lie though, Microsoft, they got to do something. They got to definitely step their game up. I'm not saying they're doing a horrible job at anything. I've been satisfied with what they're doing and happy with the Xbox and some of the games they put out. I think they've had a bad 2017. So far, they have a pretty decent 2018. It can get better. I think E3 hopefully will be big for them because they definitely need it big. So,
you think they could go more cyberpunk with Perfect Dark?
They should.
That's a good question.
The thing about Perfect Dark is such a you know what they should do with Perfect Dark? They should definitely go Deus Ex with it. They should definitely go Deus Ex with it.
That's kind of cyberpunk.
Yeah.
So, with Deus Ex on ice, basically, there's a good niche there waiting to be filled.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're talking about aliens, espionage, futuristic weapons, stealth combat. I feel like with Perfect Dark, if you do it right, you do a combination of Deus Ex and Metal Gear. You have a good approach of stealth and third person, first person, action. You have multiple ways to enter and escape, different ways to hack and attack, people, and then you bring in all these futuristic weapons and this combination of human and alien technology. You got something special. It is definitely something that they could do. But
I'll tell you this: what they need to do with it. I don't know if any of you guys have seen Altered Carbon. That's your aesthetic.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like if you just look at the Perfect Dark Zero cover, that's what it kind of took me to.
Yeah, I agree. I like the Altered Carbon. That would be fire. Hey, Nola, you still with us, right? I haven't heard Nola talk in a minute. Maybe he
had to go, dude. He had to crash and burn.
Okay.
But we appreciate him coming out here and hanging with us. We've been trying to make that happen for a while.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great dude. Good to have him on. So listen, man, let's go ahead and end the show. I want to thank everybody for stopping out once again. Very appreciative of everybody hanging out with us tonight. We'll be back next week with another episode of The Inner Circle. You can catch us on Twitter at TIC_podcast. You can catch B Money 101 on Twitter, as well as at what is it? What is yours? Yours is at Samuel Talbert, right? Sam,
yep.
Not Direwolf. At Samuel Talbert on Twitter as well. And you know me, you can follow me at Lynn Rules the World on Twitter as well. And make sure you check out the channel, man. I know a lot of guys asked me for Super Pod Shots. I just did my first episode of The Last Son of Planet Xbox. That is on my channel called The Last Son Network. I'm gonna go ahead and leave a link for that episode in the description. I give an update on Anthem, Cyberpunk 2077, and I talk about a few things with Microsoft. So make sure you check it out and go ahead and give a brother a subscribe if you want to hear my opinions and my thoughts on Microsoft and the games industry. So that's gonna be it for tonight. Once again, thank you for stopping out. I'm your host, Kara SKL, with B Money 101 and Direwolf 484, and we're off this planet. You guys have a great night. Peace.